If you met someone for the first time and wanted to introduce yourself in Spanish, how could you do it? How could you say things like your name, where you're from, where you live, your age, your hobbies, and much more?
Be honest, would you be able to confidently speak, or would you suddenly forget everything and just say hola and panic?
Don't worry, amigos, because by the end of this episode, we are going to use all the Spanish we've learned so far and put it into a real conversation so you can have your first Spanish conversation. Vamos, Spanglish, amigos. Let's do it.
Welcome to Spanglish Friends, the podcast for true beginner Spanish learners.
Hola, amigos. I'm Val, your experienced Spanish teacher and co-host from Venezuela.
And I'm Em, your Australian co-host who's been learning Spanish for 10 years.
We'll help you get confident listening and speaking beginner Spanish with content you can actually use in real-life conversations.
Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us on socials at Spanglish_Friends. Let's get started.
Comencemos.
Bienvenidos de nuevo, Spanglish Friends. Welcome back to our 50th episode of Spanglish Friends.
Bienvenidos a nuestro episodio 50. 50 episodes of you showing up, pressing play, and saying, yes, today I'm going to learn some Spanish.
Amazing. And today is so super special because everything you're going to say comes from what we've been building together since episode 1, almost a year ago.
Exactly. Today is not about learning new topics. No. Today is about putting all the concepts we've been learning throughout the other episodes and put it into practice today. So we want you to realize how much you have learned so far.
That's right. We're going to help you have your first introductory conversation in Espanol step by step. Firstly, the basic things like your name, your age, where you're from. Secondly, we're going to talk about your daily life, where you live, who you live with, and what you do for work. Then finally, all the fun little extra details we can throw in. What you like, your city, describing where you live further, and what are your pets, if you have any.
Exactly. Como siempre, as always, we love to put everything we want to show today and during our episode into una conversación pequeña, a short conversation, so you can start to hear actively and recognize the words we are going to use.
That's right, Profe Val. Now, obviously, in real life, if you met a Spanish-speaking person, you're not going to give them a blurb of your whole life story in just one go. You're not going to give a biography like you're on a dating app. But today, we're pretending we're creating, let's say, language exchange profiles online, because this is actually one of the best ways you can learn a language. I certainly have used language exchange apps in the past. I've improved my Spanish a lot by finding people I can do that. So let's imagine that myself and Val, we've put together profiles on a language exchange app and we're reading them out to you. Have a listen to how we introduce ourselves and any other key words you recognize.
¿Estás lista, amiga?
Como siempre, Profe Val, as always, comencemos.
Hola, me llamo Val, soy de Venezuela, vivo en una ciudad grande, tengo 24 años, vivo en un apartamento, soy profesora de español, me gusta el café y me gusta aprender idiomas. Tengo una perra, se llama Candy.
Hola, me llamo Em, tengo 28 años. Soy de Australia y vivo en una ciudad. En mi ciudad hace mucho calor en el verano. Vivo sola en una casa. Trabajo en una oficina. Me gusta viajar. Tengo una perra. Se llama Greta. Okay, Spanglish friends, what you just heard were 2 completely beginner-friendly introductions in Spanish.
No complicated grammar, no stress, tranquilo, just chill. And we communicate a lot. And now we are going to jump and put everything together so you can build your own sentence.
That's right. So let's get into it. Every good introduction in Spanish starts with your name. Remember how to say your name in Spanish? We say me llamo plus your name.
Vamos a ver un ejemplo. Let's see an example. Yo me llamo Val. My name is Val.
Nice. Now let's add to this introduction your age. In Spanish, we don't say that we are this amount of years old. We say that we have years in Spanish. We literally wear years in Spanish. So you need to say tengo, which means I have, plus the number of years, then the word años, which means years.
Vamos a ver un ejemplo. Let's see an example. Again, as we mentioned in our conversation, you could say tengo plus the age, saying tengo 24 años, for example. Or as Em said in her conversation, tengo 28 años. I am 28 years old. Tengo 24 años. I am 24 years old.
Nice. We can also add to that personal introduction about yourself by saying where you're from, what country you're from. So doing this, you can say soy de, I am from, plus the place.
Exactamente. Entonces, vamos a dar un ejemplo. Let's give you an example. Soy de Venezuela. I am from this connector there, Venezuela, plus the country. Or as Em said, soy de Australia. I am from Australia.
Now, with these just 3 sentence structures, you've already got a nice beginner introduction, but let's level it up another step.
Because we want you to keep the conversation flowing. So the next maybe you could go is to say where you live, right? Saying vivo en plus the place. Let's see some examples.
That's right. So you could say vivo en plus the city. So you could say vivo en Sydney. I live in Sydney. Vivo en una ciudad. I live in a city. Vivo en el campo. I live in the countryside.
And now if you want to add more details, amigos, to that place where you live, saying things like the weather, for example, el clima, you could say hace frío. It's cold. Or hace calor. It's hot. To add a little bit more detail to that description.
That's right. And I use this in our mini conversation. I said, en mi ciudad hace calor en verano. In summer, it's hot in my city.
Now, let's jump to another detail you could say throughout your conversation. You could describe who you live with, right? And with this, we would say in Spanish, vivo con, I live with, plus the person.
For example, you could say, vivo con mis compañeros del piso. I live with my roommates, compañeros del piso. You could say, vivo sola. I live alone. Vivo con mis padres. I live with my parents.
Now let's jump into what you dedicate yourself to do. ¿A qué te dedicas? Your profession, your work. You can say soy plus the profession, or if you want to describe the place where you work, you could say trabajo en plus the place.
That's right. Some examples include soy profesora. I'm a teacher. Val used this in her mini bio. Soy profesora de español. I'm a Spanish teacher. Soy estudiante. That means I'm a student. You could say trabajo en una oficina. I work in an office. I use that in our mini conversation.
And finally, if you want to describe your hobbies, the things you like or things maybe you don't like to do, we can use the verb gustar, which means to like. And putting this into an example, you could say me gusta plus the thing you like to do. Or if you don't like it, you could say no me gusta plus the thing you don't like to do.
That's right. So in our mini conversations, Val said, me gusta el café. I like coffee. I said, me gusta viajar. I like to travel. You could also say, no me gusta el café or no me gusta viajar if you don't like coffee or you don't like to travel. You can also say, me gusta aprender español. I like to learn Spanish. Me gusta aprender español.
And finally, and we can't forget about the pets, las mascotas, amiga.
Por supuesto.
If you're living with pets, if you have pets at your home, you could say tengo, una, or plus the animal. Let's see some examples.
That's right. Depending on the gender of the pet, you will use un or una. For example, tengo un perro or tengo una perra. Okay? I have a male dog or I have a female dog. respectively. And you can even add your pet's name to the description if you want to. You can say se llama plus the name. So you can say Tengo una perra, se llama Greta, like I did in our mini conversation. I have a dog, in this case a female dog, se llama Greta. Her name is Greta.
You could also say with gato or gata, which means cat. So you can say tengo un gato. I have a male cat. Tengo una gata. I have a female cat.
That's it. So, Spanglish friends, you can see how easy it is with all the little sentence structures we've been learning to put together an introductory conversation or a bio for yourself. Everything is coming together in our 50th episode.
Exactamente, Em. And here are the details, amigos, you need to start putting the separate things we just showed you again and we were teaching you into a complete sentence. So you again can start having your own conversation or your own introduction in Spanish.
That's right. So now you have all of these different sentences in your Spanish tool belt to start introducing yourself. You know how to say me llamo plus your name. My name is. Tengo, your age plus años. I have this many years. I am this many years old. Soy de plus your country, where you're from. Vivo en, I live in, plus the place, like ciudad, campo, the countryside. En mi ciudad hace calor, hace frío. It's hot, it's cold. Vivo con, I live with, plus the people you live with. Soy, and plus your profession to say your job. Or trabajo en, I work in, for example, una oficina. Me gusta, plus your likes or dislikes, or no me gusta. Tengo un or una, and the pet you have. Tengo una perra, tengo un perro, whatever it might be. Now, with all these sentences, you can easily form a first conversation in Espanol. How exciting!
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. 50 episodes ago, amigos, this would have been impossible. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Imposible.
Impossible. But now imagine you can have your own Spanish conversation and you can introduce yourself and you can speak in another language. This is incredible. Es increíble.
Sí,
This
sí,
is
sí,
not
sí.
beginner energy anymore. No, no, no. This is the main character energy.
Main character energy from here on out. You know another language. How exciting is that? So we want you to put into practice right away what you've learnt, introducing yourself in Spanish with our reto de la semana, our challenge of the week. And this one is very special.
Post in the comments your own introduction using at least one of the 2 ways we just taught you today. We would love to read them. We would love to also say felicitaciones, congratulations directly to you.
That's right. And Profe Val will be checking your answers and correcting any of your Spanish. It's like having a teacher in your pocket. How exciting. We also, very exciting, is our Spanglish Friend shout out of the week for our 50th episode. And that is going to Claire. Claire commented saying, Hola, me llamo Claire y yo tengo 12 años. I'm 12 years old. Yo soy de Canadá también y yo soy estudiante. I am from Canada also, and I'm a student. She said, I am very new to Spanish. I only know English, but I really want to learn another language. So I've been learning a little bit of Spanish for the past week. I know that this episode came out a while ago. She commented on our very first episode recently, and she's looking forward to seeing what the rest of the episodes teach her. Well done, Claire, for getting started on your Spanish learning journey. We're so very thankful to be a part of your journey. Welcome to the Spanglish Friends community.
I'm sure Claire is going to achieve this goal because she is being consistent. So for sure, we are going to see her soon speaking in Spanish. Congratulations. Felicitaciones, Claire. And thank you for
Woohoo!
trusting us in your Spanish journey. Bienvenida a la comunidad de Spanglish Friends. Welcome to the Spanglish Friends community. We're happy to have you here.
That's right. And muchísimas gracias a todos por escucharnos. Thank you very much to everyone for joining in on this journey with Profe Val and I, remembering that practice makes progress, not perfection. And we're so very proud of you all.
Sí, amigos, muchísimas gracias. And spoiler alert. For next week's episode,
Ooh.
we want to teach you how to do grocery shopping. Be more specific
Mm.
at the supermarket. how to say names of other shopping stores, and mentioning things that are normally inside a supermarket, like the aisles, corridor, or the section, or checkout, etc. We're going to learn it in the next episode.
Super awesome. Have a wonderful week, friends. Hasta luego, Spanglish amigos. Ciao.
Amigos. Ciao, ciao. Thanks for listening to Spanglish Friends. We're both so proud of the time you're investing to level up your Spanish skills.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, follow us, leave a rating, or tell a friend about the show. It helps our awesome community grow.
Join fellow beginner Spanish learners by following us on Instagram and TikTok at Spanglish_friends.
Congratulations on taking another step in your Spanish learning journey.
Hasta la próxima, amigos.